Hello, story lovers. Tonight, we're diving into a tale of passion, secrets, and choices that could change everything. Hearts will be broken, love will be tested, and every twist will leave you on the edge of your seat. Comment below where you're watching from, and if this story moves you, hit like, subscribe, share it with someone who loves a powerful love story, and tap the bell so you never miss the next thrilling chapter. Ready? Let's begin. The warehouse smelled of rust and broken dreams. Rain hammered against shattered windows as Maya Chen pressed herself against the cold brick wall, her breath coming in sharp bursts. Blood trickled from the cut on her temple, warm against her skin. 3 years of running, and they had found her again. Footsteps echoed through the cavernous space. Heavy boots on concrete, getting closer. Maya's fingers found the flash drive hidden in her jacket's inner pocket. The evidence that could destroy the Volkov crime family. The same evidence that had gotten her brother killed. "I know you're in here, little bird." Victor's voice bounced off the walls like a threat made solid. "You cannot hide forever." Maya closed her eyes, remembering David's last words. "Promise me you'll make them pay." Her brother had died protecting this information, and she wouldn't let his sacrifice be meaningless. But first, she had to survive the night. A shadow moved near the entrance. Not Victor's bulky frame, but someone else. Tall, lean, moving with predatory grace. Maya's pulse spiked as she recognized the silhouette. Alexei Volkov himself had come to finish this. She had studied his face for months, memorizing every detail of the man who ordered her brother's execution. Sharp cheekbones, dark hair that looked expensive even in the dim light, and cold gray eyes that had stared out from newspaper photos of charity galas and business deals. The legitimate face of an illegitimate empire. But as he stepped into a shaft of streetlight, something was wrong. His designer suit was torn, blood stained his white shirt, and his usual composed expression had cracked into something desperate. "Where is it?" His Russian accent made the words sound like gravel. Not speaking to her, she realized, but to Victor, who emerged from behind a stack of crates. "She has it." "The girl." Victor's meaty hand gestured in her direction. "David Chen's sister. She knows everything." Alexei's head turned toward Maya's hiding spot with mechanical precision. Their eyes met across 30 feet of shadow and dust. For a moment, neither moved. Maya had expected to feel hatred when she finally faced her brother's killer. Instead, she saw something that made her breath catch. Fear. Raw, human fear that mirrored her own. $3 million, Victor continued, pulling out a gun that gleamed dully in the half-light. "That is what your dear father promised for her head. And the drive, of course." Maya watched Alexei's expression change. The fear transformed into something harder, more dangerous. When he spoke, his voice carried authority that made Victor straighten. "My father is dead." The words hung in the air like smoke from a gunshot. Victor's confidence wavered. "What?" "But he called me tonight. He said. Someone killed him 2 hours ago." Alexei's gray eyes never left Maya's face. "Which means the bounty on her head just became irrelevant." Maya's world tilted. Dmitry Volkov, the head of the most powerful crime family on the East Coast, was dead. The man whose empire had crushed her family, whose orders had destroyed everything she loved, was gone. But if he was dead, then who had killed him? Victor raised his gun, confusion making him sloppy. "You're lying. The old man is." The shot came from Alexei's direction, but Maya couldn't see a weapon in his hands. Victor crumpled to the ground, his gun clattering across the concrete. As the echo faded, Alexei stepped over the body like it was debris in his path. "You can come out now," he called to Maya, his voice surprisingly gentle. "I'm not here to hurt you." Maya stayed pressed against the wall, every instinct screaming danger. This was Dmitry Volkov's son. The heir to a criminal empire built on blood and fear. The man who had signed off on her brother's death sentence. I know what you're thinking, Alexei said, moving closer but keeping his hands visible. You think I'm the enemy. You think I killed your brother. Didn't you? The words tore from Maya's throat like broken glass. No. He stopped 10 feet away, and in the weak light, she could see exhaustion etched in every line of his face. But I know who did. And tonight, that person killed my father too. Maya's grip tightened on the flash drive. Why should I believe you? Because, Alexei said, and for the first time, his voice cracked with genuine emotion, the same person who wants you dead wants me dead too. And if we don't work together, neither of us will see tomorrow. The motel room smelled of cigarettes and desperation. Maya sat on the edge of the bed, the flash drive clutched in her palm while Alexei paced near the window like a caged animal. Rain streaked the glass, turning the neon sign outside into abstract art. His name is Marcus Reeves, Alexei said, his accent thicker when he was tired. My father's right hand for 20 years. The man I trusted more than my own blood. Maya watched him move, noting how he favored his left side where blood had soaked through his shirt. Even wounded, he carried himself with dangerous grace. It disturbed her how her pulse quickened when he turned those gray eyes in her direction. Why would he kill your father? Power. Money. The usual reasons men betray their kings. Alexei stopped pacing and fixed her with a stare that made her skin prickle. Your brother found evidence of Marcus skimming from our operations. Millions of dollars over years. David was going to expose him. The room felt smaller suddenly. Maya's brother had been an accountant, quiet and careful, nothing like the adrenaline junkie who had raised her after their parents died. But he had worked for legitimate businesses that unknowingly laundered Volkov money. When he discovered the truth, he should have walked away. Instead, he had gathered evidence. David was supposed to bring the proof to my father, Alexei continued. But Marcus got to him first. Made it look like a robbery gone wrong. And you knew about this? Maya's voice was barely controlled fury. I suspected. But suspecting and proving are different things. He moved closer, and she caught the scent of expensive cologne mixed with blood and rain. That drive contains everything David collected. Financial records, recorded conversations, proof of Marcus's betrayal. Maya's fingers tightened around the device. Proof that your entire family are criminals. Yes. No hesitation, no justification. Just acknowledgement of what they both knew. And now Marcus is eliminating everyone who can expose him. Your brother. My father. You. Me. The admission hung between them like a live wire. Maya had expected denials, lies, the smooth manipulation she associated with his kind. Not this brutal honesty that made her hate him less and fear him more. Why didn't you run? She asked. You could disappear. New identity, offshore accounts. Men like you always have escape plans. Something flickered across his face. Pain, maybe, or regret. Because I made a promise to someone I loved. Your father. My sister. The words hit Maya like a physical blow. She had researched the Volkov family obsessively, memorizing every detail of their lives. Dmitry had 2 children, Alexei, 32, heir to the empire, and Anna, who had died in a car accident 5 years ago. Anna was trying to leave, Alexei said quietly. She wanted out of the family business. Clean life, maybe marriage to some accountant or teacher. Normal things. His laugh was bitter as broken glass. Marcus arranged her accident. Made sure she never got the chance to embarrass the family name. Maya's breath caught. You knew. I suspected. Like with David, like with so many things. His hands clenched into fists. I promised her I would find proof someday. That I would make things right. The motel room felt heavy with secrets and shared pain. Maya studied Alexei's face, searching for deception and finding only exhaustion that matched her own. They were both carrying the weight of dead siblings, both caught in webs they hadn't chosen. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number: "We have your apartment surrounded. You have 30 minutes to bring us the drive, or we start killing neighbors." Maya's blood turned to ice. Mrs. Patterson, the elderly woman who lived next door and always asked about Maya's job at the clinic. The young couple with the baby who smiled at her in the hallway. Innocent people who would die because of her brother's crusade for justice. What? Alexei was beside her in an instant, reading over her shoulder. "He found where I live." Maya's voice was hollow. "He's threatening civilians. Then we give him what he wants." "The drive?" "No." Maya jerked away from him. "This is the only evidence that exists. David died for this information. And more people will die if we don't act." Alexei's jaw was tight with controlled fury. "Marcus doesn't make empty threats." Maya's mind raced. The flash drive contained years of financial records, audio files of incriminating conversations, documentation of murders and money laundering. But it also contained something else David had discovered. Something even Marcus didn't know about. "There's another way," she said slowly. "But you won't like it. Tell me." Maya met his eyes and saw her own desperation reflected there. Two people with nothing left to lose except each other. The thought should have terrified her. Instead, it felt like the first honest thing that had happened all night. "We fake my death. Make Marcus think he won. Then we use the drive to destroy everything your father built. Including you." The abandoned church stood against the night sky like a broken promise. Gothic spires reached toward stars hidden by storm clouds, and stained glass windows reflected the glow of distant streetlights in fractured colors. Maya felt the weight of irony as she and Alexei approached the sanctuary where they planned to fake her death. "Marcus will expect a trap," Alexei said, checking the pistol hidden beneath his coat. His wound had stopped bleeding, but pale exhaustion made his features sharp as carved stone. "He's not stupid. That's why it has to look real." Maya tested the squib device taped to her chest, a small blood pack connected to a tiny detonator. Theater tricks David had shown her years ago, back when he dreamed of being a special effects artist instead of an accountant. "When you shoot me, I fall backward into the baptismal pool. The water will hide the fact that I'm still breathing." They had 30 minutes before Marcus arrived with his men. 30 minutes to rehearse a performance that would either save Maya's neighbors or get them both killed for real. "There's something I need to tell you," Alexei said as they positioned themselves near the altar. "About that night David died." Maya's stomach clenched. "What about it?" "I was there." The words echoed through the empty church like a gunshot. Maya stepped backward, instinctively putting distance between them. The trust she had been building over the past few hours crumbled into dust. "You said you didn't kill him." "I didn't. But I was supposed to meet him that night. To get the evidence and bring it to my father." Alexei's voice was steady, but something desperate flickered in his eyes. "Marcus sent me to the wrong address. By the time I found David's real location, he was already dead." "So you knew?" Maya's voice was barely above a whisper. "You knew Marcus killed him, and you did nothing." "I had no proof. Just suspicions and my brother died while you were chasing shadows." Fury rose in Maya's chest like fire. "You could have warned him. You could have protected him." "Yes." The admission was stark and honest. "I failed him. Just like I failed Anna. Just like I've failed everyone I've ever cared about." Maya stared at the man who had become her unlikely ally. She wanted to hate him, needed to hate him. But the pain in his voice matched her own too perfectly. They were both survivors carrying the weight of people they couldn't save. "Why tell me this now?" "Because in 10 minutes, I'm going to put a gun to your head and pull the trigger. And I need you to know that if something goes wrong, if Marcus realizes it's fake, I will kill him even if it means we both die." Before Maya could respond, the church doors crashed open. Marcus Reeves entered with 3 armed men, his expensive suit immaculate despite the rain. He was younger than Maya had expected, maybe 40, with the kind of forgettable face that made him dangerous in their world. "Alexei." Marcus's smile was warm and fatherly, the expression Maya imagined he wore during business meetings. "I was so worried when I heard about your father." "Were you?" Alexei's gun was already in his hand, pointed at Maya's head. The cold metal pressed against her temple felt real enough to make her knees weak. "Worried enough to hunt down his killer?" "Of course. That's why we're here." Marcus's eyes found Maya, and his smile turned predatory. "Miss Chen has something that belongs to us." Maya held up the flash drive with a shaking hand. She wasn't acting now. The fear was real, electric and consuming. "You killed my brother. Your brother was stealing from us. That tends to be fatal in our line of work." Marcus stepped closer, his men flanking him with military precision. "But his death served a purpose. It taught you to run. And running led you straight to Alexei." Something cold settled in Maya's stomach. "What do you mean?" "Oh, my dear girl. Did you think it was coincidence that you ended up in that warehouse tonight? That Victor just happened to find you after 3 years of searching?" Marcus's laugh was genuinely delighted. "I've been watching you. Waiting for you to lead me to the evidence. And to give me the perfect opportunity to eliminate Dimitri's heir." Maya felt the world tilt. She had been a pawn in a larger game, her grief and desperation weaponized against the people she sought to destroy. "Alexei knew," Marcus continued conversationally. "He's known for weeks that I was using you. Haven't you, boy?" The pressure of the gun against Maya's head increased. When she risked a glance at Alexei's face, she saw no surprise there. Only resignation. "Yes," Alexei said quietly. "I knew." The betrayal hit harder than any physical blow. Maya had begun to trust him, had started to believe they were allies in shared pain. Instead, she had been delivered to her enemies by the one person she thought understood her. "Kill her," Marcus ordered. "And we can discuss your future in the organization." Maya closed her eyes, waiting for the gunshot that would end everything. Instead, she heard Alexei's voice, soft and devastated. "I'm sorry." The gun moved away from her head. 3 shots echoed through the church in rapid succession. When Maya opened her eyes, Marcus and his men were on the ground, blood spreading across the ancient stone floor. "I lied," Alexei said, his gun smoking in the candlelight. "I've been lying about everything." Blood pooled between the church pews like spilled wine. Maya stood frozen in the aftermath, her ears ringing from gunshots, trying to process what had just happened. Marcus Reeves lay motionless near the altar, his perfect smile finally gone. "Maya." Alexei's voice was gentle, but she flinched when he reached for her. "We need to go. More men will come. Don't touch me." She backed away, hitting the stone baptismal font behind her. "Don't you dare touch me after what you just did. I saved your life. After using me as bait." Maya's voice cracked with betrayal. "You knew Marcus was tracking me. You knew he wanted to kill us both, and you let me believe we were partners." Alexei holstered his gun with mechanical precision. In the candlelight, exhaustion and something deeper, something that looked like grief, carved lines around his eyes. "Sit down," he said. "Please. Let me explain before you decide whether to hate me." Maya wanted to run. Every instinct told her to grab the flash drive and disappear into the night. But Marcus's men were dead, Dmitry Volkov was dead, and she was standing in a church with the only other person who knew the truth about any of it. She sat on the edge of the baptismal font, as far from him as the space allowed. My real name is Alexander Petrov, Alexei began, settling onto a wooden pew. I'm not Dmitri's son. I'm FBI. The words hit Maya like cold water. She stared at him, searching for deception and finding only bone-deep weariness. Undercover for 6 years, he continued. Deep enough that I had to do things, approve things, that will haunt me forever. All to gather evidence against the Volkov organization. You're lying. I wish I was. He pulled out his phone, scrolling to a contact labeled Control. Agent Sarah Martinez, Eastern District. She's been my handler since the beginning. You can call her and verify everything. Maya's mind raced. 6 years undercover in a criminal organization. 6 years of pretending to be someone else, of making choices that would destroy any normal person's soul. Anna wasn't your sister. No. Anna was Dmitri's daughter, and she was trying to leave the family. But she wasn't killed in an accident. Marcus had her murdered because she was going to testify against them. His voice was flat, clinical. I was assigned to protect her. I failed. The pain in his voice was real. Maya had heard enough lies in her life to recognize truth when it finally surfaced. David? I was supposed to be his contact inside the organization. But Marcus intercepted our communications, fed me false information, made sure I was nowhere near David when he needed help. Alexei's hands clenched into fists. 2 people died because I wasn't good enough at my job. Maya felt tears she hadn't shed since the funeral burning behind her eyes. So when you found me tonight, I saw a chance to finish what David started. And maybe save one person I was supposed to protect. He looked at her directly, and she saw the weight of 6 years' worth of compromises in his gaze. I used you. I let Marcus think he was manipulating us both while I gathered evidence of his confession. Everything he said tonight was recorded. Maya pulled the flash drive from her pocket, turning it over in her hands. Such a small thing to contain so much destruction. What happens now? Now I call my handler. The FBI arrests what's left of the Volkov organization. Marcus's confession, combined with David's evidence, will put dozens of people in prison. Alexei's smile was tired and bitter. And I spend the rest of my life trying to figure out who I am when I'm not pretending to be someone else. And me? You disappear. New identity, witness protection, whatever you want. You're free. Free. Maya had been running for 3 years, had given up her career, her home, her entire life for the chance at justice for David. Now it was over, and she felt empty instead of triumphant. There's something else on the drive, she said quietly. Something David found that even Marcus didn't know about. Alexei raised an eyebrow. Video evidence of Dmitri ordering Anna's death. Audio of him laughing about it. Maya met his eyes. David didn't just document financial crimes. He documented everything. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Wind howled through broken windows, and candles flickered in the draft. She trusted me, Alexei said finally. Anna. She thought I was just another criminal, but she still trusted me with her dreams of escape. I held her hand when she died in that hospital, and I swore I would make it right. Maya stood up, walking to where he sat. Without quite deciding to do it, she reached out and touched his face. His skin was cold, stubble rough against her palm. You did make it right. You got them all. Not all. Alexei's voice was barely a whisper. Not the man who gave the orders. Your father. Maya's breath caught as understanding dawned. Dmitri isn't dead, is he? Alexei's smile was sharp as a blade, and for the first time since she'd met him, Maya saw the killer he'd had to become. Not yet. Dawn crept through the windows of Dmitri Volkov's penthouse like an unwelcome truth. The old man sat behind his mahogany desk, silver hair perfectly styled despite the early hour, reviewing financial reports as if his empire wasn't crumbling around him. He didn't look up when Alexei entered, even though the young man's clothes were still stained with Marcus's blood. "You're late," Dmitri said in Russian, his voice carrying the authority of a man who had never been defied. "Marcus called hours ago about the Chin girl. Marcus is dead." Alexei closed the door behind him with careful precision. "Along with his men." Now Dmitri looked up, pale eyes assessing. "Unfortunate. He was useful. I assume you have the evidence." Maya stepped out from behind the floor-to-ceiling curtains, the flash drive visible in her hand. She had insisted on coming, despite Alexei's arguments. Some confrontations required witnesses. Dmitri's expression didn't change, but his hand moved slowly toward the desk drawer where Alexei knew he kept a loaded pistol. "The famous Maya Chen. You've led us quite a chase, little rabbit." "Not as famous as you," Maya replied, her voice steady. "The man who built an empire on children's graves." "Children?" Dmitri's laugh was genuinely amused. "Your brother was hardly a child. He was a thief who overreached. I'm not talking about David." Maya held up the flash drive. "Anna. 15 other young women over the past decade. All killed because they threatened your control." For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Dmitri's face. His gaze moved to Alexei, who stood silent near the windows. "What have you told her?" "Everything," Alexei said quietly. "Including Anna's real crime." Maya felt her breath catch. In the church, focused on survival and betrayal, they hadn't discussed the details of Anna's death. But she could see in Alexei's posture that there was more to the story. "Anna wasn't just trying to leave," Alexei continued, his voice carrying 6 years of carefully controlled rage. "She was pregnant. 17 years old and pregnant by some boy you disapproved of. So you had Marcus arrange her accident, then told everyone she died trying to escape the family business." The words hung in the air like poison. Maya understood now why Alexei had spent 6 years of his life destroying this organization from within. Some betrayals were too fundamental to forgive. Dmitri's hand found his gun, but his movements were slow, weary. "She was my daughter. My choice to make. She was a child," Maya said. "And she trusted you." "Trust." Dmitri stood up, the pistol steady in his weathered hands. "Do you know what trust gets you in this world? It gets you a bullet in an abandoned warehouse, like your dear brother. It gets you a car accident on a rainy night, like Anna. Trust is for fools and children." "Then what does that make you?" Alexei asked. Dmitri's smile was cold as winter. "A survivor." The gunshot was impossibly loud in the enclosed space. Maya screamed, expecting to see Alexei fall. Instead, Dmitri staggered backward, clutching his shoulder. Alexei's gun was smoking in his hand. "Not anymore," Alexei said. Blood spread across Dmitri's white shirt like spilled paint. The old man looked down at the wound with more surprise than pain. "You were always weak," he gasped. "Soft. Like Anna." "Yes," Alexei agreed. "That's what made me human." Maya watched the most powerful crime boss on the East Coast slide down the wall, leaving a trail of red on expensive wallpaper. In moments, he would be dead. Justice for David, for Anna, for everyone who had suffered under Dmitri's rule. But justice felt colder than she had expected. "The FBI will be here in 20 minutes, Alexei said, holstering his weapon. "My handler has been listening to everything through my wire. It's over." Maya nodded, but couldn't bring herself to speak. 3 years of running, of planning, of dreaming about this moment, and now it felt like waking up from a fever dream. What happens to us? Alexei was quiet for a long moment, looking out at the city awakening below them. There is no us, Maya. I've spent 6 years becoming someone I hate. I need time to figure out who I really am underneath all the lies. And if you can't? He turned to face her, and she saw the lost boy hidden beneath the federal agent's composure. Then I disappear too. New name, new life. Maybe somewhere warm where nobody knows about any of this. Maya felt tears threatening again. She had found something real with him in the middle of all the deception, a connection forged in shared pain and mutual understanding. But some bridges were built on foundations too damaged to support lasting weight. The evidence David gathered will put 43 people in prison, she said, holding out the flash drive. Including dirty cops, judges, politicians. Everyone who helped build this empire. Keep it, Alexei said. As proof that your brother's death meant something. That he saved more lives than he'll ever know. Sirens were audible now, growing closer. Maya looked at Dimitri's body one last time, feeling nothing except exhaustion. I loved him, you know, she said quietly. David. He was the only family I had left. He would be proud of you. For finishing what he started. For choosing justice over revenge. Maya kissed Alexei's cheek, tasting salt and regret. Take care of yourself, Alexander Petrov. Try to find someone worth being. She was at the door when his voice stopped her. Maya. She turned back. If I do figure out who I'm supposed to be, would you want to meet him someday? Maya smiled through her tears. I'd like that very much. 3 months later, Maya Chen received a postcard from a small coastal town in Oregon. No message, no signature. Just a photograph of sunrise over the ocean and, in small print on the back, the words, "Still learning to be human." She kept the postcard on her refrigerator in her new apartment, next to a photo of David from his college graduation. Some stories ended with justice served and lives rebuilt. Others ended with the promise that healing was possible, even after the worst betrayals. Maya had learned the difference between revenge and closure. Between punishment and peace. It would have to be enough. The end.